Calling David.
Calling David. David.
Hello.
Hello, is this David?
It is.
Hey, David, Paul, Outsider Tackle Box. Welcome to the show. Tommy's in the studio with us.
Hey, what's going on, David? How you doing, bud?
Oh, doing pretty good.
Good. Good.
Well, welcome to the Outsider Radio Show and Broadcast. We are bringing happiness to the world through the joys of fishing, and you sent in a photo. Actually, quite a few photos, but we did post the one with the sturgeon, and it's not upside down as to confuse Paul, which is me, because I often do. I do get confused.
He's easily confused.
I do. I've never caught a sturgeon, but it is a very
it's a prehistoric looking fish.
It's a cool looking fish, and I like it. Very majestic. Very.
David, the reason he's going off on this tangent is because about a month and a half ago, he was like, "Oh, look at this lady! She caught a shark," and it was a sturgeon that was just on its back.
Yes, and they look like sharks.
And I was like, "Really? There is no sharks in Utah? Like, just stop."
You can't catch a sturgeon in the desert, Paul.
Yeah, you can't.
No shark.
Yeah,
see, I still got it backwards. I'm still confused to this day.
You're confused on everything.
And David, they want to make a shirt, and it says sturgeon spelled wrong, and it says like a shark, but it's not. And we're going to eventually make a shirt like that and put it up on the store for people who follow the podcast, just because it's pretty funny.
We should put it in quotations too.
Well, I think I'd have to buy one of those.
Well, David, we enjoyed the story that you sent in about your history growing up fishing with Dad, and fishing the desert, and now you're sharing that same experience with all of your grandchildren. So first off, thank you to Dad for all the memories, and thank you for spreading happiness to your family and friends and all the Outsider fans by sending in the photo and coming on the podcast. So thank you very much. We're happy to have you.
Absolutely.
And the format.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for being a good sport about it. The format is just where you caught the fish, if you want to tell us. If not, that's okay too. We'll send Tommy to the wrong location. And the bait that you used, and then the size if you were able to measure it. And the podcast is going to be uploaded later today, and then that's about it, right, Tommy?
Yep, yeah. That's about it. So, David, the show is yours now.
Okay. Well, just a little recap on the story I sent in. My dad kind of got us, me and my brother, started fishing when I was about 10 years old. But my dad was a hard-working guy, and he just wasn't home that much to take us fishing. But my grandfather was very instrumental in my early fishing development. He took me quite a bit, even though he didn't fish. So that's childhood memories that I'll cherish forever.
Good.
Growing up in the
That's
California desert, we were very limited on what we could catch. Any waterways there were man-made. I fished quite a bit in the California aqueduct system, which is just basically a big concrete canal.
Yep.
And learned how to catch big catfish, and that was my thing. I'd take bass guys and trout guys out catfishing that I worked with, and they'd say, show me how to do it. Most of them couldn't be patient long enough to catch a big catfish, and they'd get frustrated and give up while I'm catching large catfish, and they just couldn't believe it. Then when I was 25, moved up to Washington State with my first wife, and fished almost exclusively in salt water.
Okay.
Which my dad always said, you go to the ocean, you'll never go back to fresh water.
That's a very valid statement, yeah.
Yeah, I could see where that may be for some people, but fast forward, 17 years, and now I'm living in the desert again, but now I'm up here in Idaho, and I don't like eating freshwater fish, but I like catching fish. So we go out and we catch anything that swims, but I target um, sturgeon, carp, and catfish because here the carp get very large. The sturgeon, and that's a baby there.
Yeah.
That was my first sturgeon trip, and I caught a 3-foot that day, and then that 4-footer, and I rolled him upright for the picture. And I was excited. A 4-foot fish, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah,
it's
we're
not.
used to
And the guy
catching
that took
trout.
me said, "Oh, yeah." The guy that took me says, "Oh, that's just a baby," and I'm looking at him like, "A baby." Well, the average size sturgeon here is in the 7-8 foot range.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's
They
a
catch
shark
them
size.
up to 12 foot. Yeah.
There he is again with the
Big
shark.
fish.
See?
And yeah, that particular fish there, I caught them below Lower Salmon Dam, right outside a town called Bliss,
Okay.
Okay.
and it's a common spot. We fish from the bank. This last year, I had a fellow over in Nampa, Idaho, build me a sturgeon rod that I could use on my inflatable pontoon boat.
Nice.
And I've got a couple of inflatable pontoons, and this year I'm going to do sturgeon with pontoon.
What's a good
And so-
bait for, or how do you catch a sturgeon? Because for
Yeah.
those who are going to listen in and haven't done it too often or not very good at it, what's a good setup and what kind of bait what do you like to use to catch those things?
It's a pretty simple setup. If you're going to bank fish, you need about a 13-foot surf pole,
Okay.
heavy line, 80-pound main line, heavy weight, and they have a specific sturgeon rig that you can buy because the line to the hook needs to be a lighter weight than the main line, and you need a slider for the weight, and the weight needs to be able to break off in case it gets hung up in the rocks so the fish doesn't wrap up in a rock and die.
Gotcha.
But it's just a big bait. We'd like to use horse herring. I'll order those in, and they come in frozen from the coast.
Okay.
Some people here use what they call morts, mortality trout from the hatcheries. They work really well. There's commercially sold sturgeon bait. One particular brand name is Sturgeon Candy, and
Okay.
it's pickled herring, I believe. So just a big piece of stinky fish.
Okay.
Fair enough. It's almost
Pretty
like
much
you're fishing catfish kind of thing. Just the stinkier the better kind of
Yes.
thing.
Well, just not stinky like catfish bait,
No, that
but
yeah.
like the sturgeon candy is a pickled fish.
Gotcha.
Some guys use their own different brine treatments to get their own particular flavor.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah.
So, it's a lot of fun. And on a boat, we use boat poles, a shorter pole.
yeah.
The bank guys use these 13-foot poles so they can cast out in the river.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that sounds cool.
They're a lot of fun. They get big.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have we're hooked up with a guy named Ryan from Columbia River Hookers, and they fish the the Columbia River, obviously, and he goes out and he catches big old 8-footer, 7-foot sturgeon. I mean, he's taking people out all the time, and I mean, it's impressive seeing how huge these things can get.
You sent in
And they fight. Amazing.
You sent in another photo of you fishing. It looks like halibut. So you're close to. And you actually, he sent in so many photos. Like we have to have him on again to talk about all the different fishing that.
Well, he's lived a lot of places. He said he's Washington coast and Idaho, and you said you were in California. Whereabouts in California?
A little town called Hesperia.
I know Hesperia. We know Hesperia.
Yes.
We're from Southern California, so
Okay.
Hesperia is not that far from us.
One of our engineers is lived in Apple Valley for a really long time.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, we're familiar with that
that's,
area. So that's where the aqueduct fishing kind of came in, huh?
It did, yes.
Yeah. Nice.
raised there. 25 years old, I moved away and never been back. So
Cool. Well, that's
Yeah.
the halibut.
Yeah.
I caught the halibut when I lived up in Washington, and one of the other pictures that I had there with that I sent in was a cabezon, which is just a big old ugly rockfish that you catch off the reefs.
Yeah.
And I would have to say, out of all the fishing that I've done, ocean fishing in the California waters and then up there in Washington, I would much rather go to off the coast of Washington and fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have good friends out there. Actually, I have a brother that goes. He's in construction, so he's up and down the Pacific Northwest. He's in Washington, Oregon, Wyoming, goes that whole area. So we try to fish with him.
But you know what? It is true. Like fishing ocean is it's a lot more different. It's just.
The last part of that story was I don't ever catch fish with my brother.
You don't ever catch fish anyway.
Well, he doesn't fish much, and so his tackle box doesn't have like what we need. And I never take anything with me because I think I'm gonna just be like go over there and catch fish, and it just I don't.
Again.
I hear stories from people like catching fish all the time, and then I go over there and it's like, hey, guess what? You didn't get to get a photo up, or you didn't even get a bite.
Again, Paul, you just don't catch fish at all. I mean, I've been fishing with you many times. I think in the many times that we went, I think I've seen maybe 3 come up.
I'm not having good luck this year. It's been 5 times and haven't caught anything. We're gonna go today after this, and but yeah, David, thanks for sharing your fish story. We loved it. We love that you. Have a background story. Dad and Grandpa we're taking you fishing, and now you're sharing it with all.
Yeah, he's carrying on the legacy kind of thing. Like he's just keeping it going.
He has another photo with, part of the family. She's a little girl catching fish.
Little fishing buddy.
Little fishing buddy.
Yep.
And so please continue to send in the photos.
Absolutely.
We will, we kind of cut your other story short. We'll have you back on, and thanks for participating in on I'm an Outsider group.
Yep.
And
keep the photos
come
coming.
back anytime.
We'll have you back on, man.
From all of us here at
anytime.
Outsider, fish more, tight lines.
Tight lines, bud. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, bud.
You guys do the same. Thanks.
Thanks,
David.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.